Welcome along to another episode of Mildly Informed with me, Richie Firth, and him, Chris Skinner. And welcome back, Chris Skinner. Chris, how are you?
Rich, I'm very well. I have been in Cornwall and in Dorset. I saw Durdle Door. Durdle Door is not part of the official reviewing process of this week's episode, but it's a pretty impressive location. If you've never heard of Durdle Door, Google it.
Durdle Door is amazing. As someone who went to university in Bournemouth, and then Bournemouth was home for me for about 15 years of my life. Durdle Door is gorgeous, as is Lulworth Cove next door to it. Doesn't get enough mention.
I went swimming there. I will be talking about that later.
The walk over from Lulworth Cove to Durdle Door from memory earns you so many snacks once you get over there, because it's quite a schlep. It's a beautiful part of the world. But Chris, for those of us who are watching on our YouTube channel or our TikToks, it looks like you've come back somewhat roughed up.
Yeah, I got into a fight with a van this morning, Richie.
Oh, really?
As we may have discussed before, every Friday morning I'm getting up at 5:30 and I'm powering my way up into Essex on a bicycle. And today, climbing up a hill, I went face first straight into the back of a van.
Whoa!
And smashed my face into it, went over my handlebars, bruised my leg up. It's sort of the blood sort of means, the blood's all gone now, but a little bit of a scratch on the eye. And I know what you're asking. How fast was the van going?
How fast was the van going?
What was the reaction of the van driver?
How did the van driver react?
Well, the van wasn't moving and there was no driver in the van.
How do you go head first into that?
It was a really tough hill and I was in the zone and I was super focused. And it's a route I'm very familiar with climbing. So it just was head down, grunting up the hill and didn't look up.
Wow. How's the bike?
The bike is now okay. I was so at first, it's quite scary. It was full on sort of punch in the face level impact, and I so a bit of panic. I had to sort of get the chain back on the bike and fix myself. No one bloody stopped and helped. Thanks lads. And I then went off and I'm on Strava, and I then went and set a series of personal bests as the adrenaline coursed through my veins. And I climbed up hills like they weren't there. Honestly, my advice to you, Richie, you, the public, is if you want to set yourself a personal best in sport, get a big slap around the face before you start. It did me wonders.
Well, I'm delighted for you for your adrenaline.
Thank you.
And now I'm really excited for what a concussion-fueled episode of Informed is going to look like. These reviews are going to be off the scale.
I once bought a flat with concussion and didn't realise I bought it, so God knows what's going to happen now. Rich, enough about me. We've got to get into the serious business of this programme, which is you and me learning about our weeks and reviewing the stuff that happens inside it. And I would love you to kick things off with something exciting.
Chris, it's been the start of the 6 weeks summer holidays, school summer holidays here in the UK. And we're recording at the end of the first week. I actually counted up. My son Rocco, in effect, it's 7 weeks, because they ain't going back until the Thursday of the week that they start in September. So it's pretty much all given a 7-week summer holiday. But let's call it 6, because we know that that's generally what they are here in the UK. I've been doing a little bit of an investigation, because 6 weeks is quite the while to be able to it's quite a period to negotiate as parents. So you've got a 6-week summer holiday. Then you got 2 weeks at Christmas. Then you got 2 weeks at Easter. Then you've got a half term in each of those 3 terms. So that's 3 half terms. So I've counted that up as 13 weeks of school holidays across the 52 weeks of the year. And I reckon there's got to be another way. There's got to be another way. Now, I know we've spent a lot of time recently on Mildly Informed, ranking the months of the year and what was the best and what was the worst. But I think sometimes, Chris, we've got to ask the big questions in life. And the question I want to ask this week as I review the first week of the summer holidays and say, wow, it's a challenge. And I'm lucky with the hours that I work and my wife being able to work from home. It's even more of a challenge for others, let alone what you have to pay to go abroad during those 6 week summer holidays. So that is why I posed the question, is there another way for the 13 weeks of school holidays? And I look at it like this. I call it Operation Margarine. When you spread a slice of bread or toast, you want that spread evenly. You don't want a clump in the corner and then bare bits everywhere else. Surely we can sort these 13 weeks a little bit more fairly across the year.
So, I mean, are you going like basically 2 weeks summer holiday and a week every other month of the year?
That's not where I'm necessarily starting, because what you'd have to agree is there's 12 months in the year. We've recently spent a lot of time.
I do agree there is 12 months in the year.
We've even ranked it for everybody.
We can agree on.
No one asked. So if you've got 13 weeks of summer holidays and you've got 12 months of the year, give or take, you could probably every month of the school year have 3 weeks on, 1 week off.
Yeah. Which is good.
Which is good. But then that's not really how life works, because actually 2 weeks at Easter, that's not a bad thing. We'd all want 2 weeks at Christmas to be able to, you know, have the prep in the run up to it and then the relaxation into the new year after. So maybe they're locked in. So I think the question is looking at what you do with those other 9 weeks across the year, your 6 weeks summer holidays, and then your 3 half terms. And that's where I reckon we probably should be doing a better job and maybe having 1 week off every month.
And that's your official proposal for all schools in the UK?
Correct.
And as a parent with a normal job, how do you think they will feel like each parent having to take a week off?
Obviously, there's a period of adjustment.
Right.
And potentially I might not have thought everything through. But let's major on the period of adjustment.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. If any big change that happens in history, you have to be prepared to adjust. That's the reason that history exists. To be able to then look back at something and go...
It is the reason that history exists.
No, it is. The reason that history exists, the reason that history is taught is so that we can look back and learn lessons and go, actually, that was a good thing. But at the point before history happens, humans sit here and go, I'm not sure about that. People like you go, what do you think the workers are going to think having to take a week off every month? Okay. That's what happens. Before history happens, there is worry.
I definitely have concussion. I'm pretty sure after the last 30 seconds of what you just said there, I'm pretty certain I have concussion.
The last 30 seconds of what I said is challenging, but it's sense, all right? People that are listening to this episode that haven't cycled into the arse of a van have understood what I've said.
Okay, I hope they have. I really hope they have.
I'll tell you what's going to happen. You'll be editing this episode in a couple of days' time, and you'll WhatsApp me and go, "Oh my God, Rich, I'm so sorry for my reaction to your proposal for reorganising school holidays and the definition of history."
As much as I am a really annoying guy, I think I'm quite straight up and down, and I promise you if that's the case, I will message you and tell you that's the case.
Thank you.
I promise. Can I give you a counter proposal?
Always.
We just take 13 weeks consecutively in one block from May through to like September. Just bin all the other stuff off. Have a few bank holidays for Christmas and Easter, all that kind of stuff, and just take 3 months off and let families just discover family life.
I genuinely feel like I've just been hit by a van. Chris, I think that is an absolutely genius idea. If we all buckle down and work during the shite months of the year, and then May to September, everyone's off. No schools are learning, no kids are learning. No, that's amazing. And then you'd be able to spread the cost of summer holidays. It's genuinely amazing. Cricket would be even better because no one would be at school during the cricket season. The football season's
You could just
finished.
watch so much more.
There's so much going with your proposal.
Okay. Well, look, don't get me wrong. Maybe what we should do is we should write to Keir Starmer and we should say, Keir, the next 2 years, we've got two things we want this country to do. And they are the most important things for this country. One, we're going to do the Richie method and we're going to take 1 week off every month. And in year 2, in 2027, we're just going to take 3 months off in the summer. And if Keir will do that, and then in 2028...
a moratorium on the two policies.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can't see a better way for this country to move forward.
This is, and this could all happen within this parliament, couldn't it?
Yes.
Because they've only just done a year.
They've got 4 years left. They could revolutionise school holiday life.
I urge all of our listeners, whether they are Patreons or just listening in the traditional channels, I urge all of you to email your local MP, particularly if they're a Labour one, because they've got the ear of Sir Keir, and to put forward Operation Margarine and to ask the government to... This is why I referred to this 5 minutes ago. It's what I talk about this whole thing, spreading the holidays across the year,
right.
Okay? Ask them to have a listen to this episode of Mildly Informed and see if they can put it into policy.
Yeah. Can they be the butter knife in this situation?
Chris, I'm going to give the reorganisation of holidays, the proposal, 5 stars because I think it's got great potential.
I'm going to withhold my own personal review for 2 years once we've seen how each one plays out, and then I will summarise both.
We've mentioned the Patreons. It would be a good point right now to remind all of you that if you want to become a patron of Mildly Informed, you actually receive extra reviews from us that the others don't get. And you can do that at patreon.com and search for Mildly Informed.
They got an extra episode last week.
Exactly, when you were away
I didn't get one.
On holiday, they got extra. So you can do that. You can join us on there. You can message us anytime at our socials, at Producer Chris, at Richie Firth, or indeed leave comments on the YouTube channel or on TikTok. Chris, what's been on your mind?
Well, this is a bit of a holiday special, Rich, and I went on holiday to Cornwall via Devon and then on the way back via Dorset to break the journey up. And I want to talk to you about Google Maps. Google Maps was our sat-nav function of choice. Apple and other services are available. But I think Google Maps has become the market leader in this space, hasn't it? It's so easy. It's on my phone. Plug it into the car. Off we go. And it has, I think, in so many ways, revolutionised travel. It's made it so much easier. You realise there's a traffic jam before the traffic jam is there. It's just made getting to complicated places much easier, particularly, when you're trying to stay in some little cabin in the woods up a road, then a B road, then a little track. It gets you there. And on the way, it will tell you where the nearest petrol garage or restaurant is. It's fantastic. But in the last, I'm going to say 6 to 12 months, there's been a new function on Google Maps, which is really pissing me off. And this is, all of a sudden, it will pop up and it will go, police car on the slip road, still there, yes or no? Or it will say temporary traffic lights 100 metres ahead, still there, yes or no? And I'm like, what am I? You're research lackey. I'm trying to drive here. I've got 4 hours on the road and you asking me a survey about whether someone is holding a stop sign up there. I'm busy. I can't be looking at you and doing this at the same time. And I have gone online and I've looked to try to find ways to turn this function off. And I can't do it. And I'm I can't bear with it anymore. I'm going to quit Google Maps, which I love. I love because I'm sick of it asking me these questions.
This podcast is called Mildly Informed because it is our goal to at least mildly inform the listener in every episode. And I think we're going to punch through that goal right now because I can give you some background on why this is happening. So you mentioned that there are other possibilities for mapping services. Of course there are. There's Apple Maps.
Yes.
One of the other biggies that has been used for a long time by by the mini cabs, not your ones that do the knowledge and all that kind of stuff, is Waze. Now Waze is now owned by Google Maps, and I put it to you that they are beginning to try and merge their services, because one of the things about Waze for a long time has been that the Waze community report to other Wazers, as they call themselves, if there are potholes in the roads, or if they see a police car, or if they see all of the things that are now popping up that you're getting irritated about. I'm very surprised that there isn't a way to turn that off in Google, because if you want to be doing that, that's fine. It's fine to take the intel that the Wazers are giving Google, but if you don't want that in Google, then you should be able to turn that off, because otherwise you're duplicating your services. It's strange.
Yeah. I'm not there for the community. I'm not a Google guy or a Wazer. I am literally trying to get from A to B, and the deal I accept with Google is that they provide some free services, and in exchange, they get a lot of data and they get to advertise for me. And I can live with that transfer. I'm not working for Google. If they want to pay me to tell them what's going on the roads, they can do that. But I have a very set daily rate, and I don't think they'd want to do it. and I just like if there is someone out there, if I am pitching this wrong, if you think it's absolutely fine to start telling them where this other stuff is happening, fine, I accept it. If you know a way to turn this off that I haven't yet found, also please tell me. I can't deal with it anymore.
We've spoken about this before, and I think it's another moment just to remind people. There's all this spectre of AI, and that some people who aren't so on board with it, they fear it, they're scared of it, and it's another moment right now. I need to remind everybody, they need us. They need us. As clever as Google is, as Waze is, and all that kind of stuff, tech is needy. Every now and then, it needs to ask a question of us. And without us, it doesn't know that. Because without us, there isn't a need for Google Maps. Right? If we didn't exist, Google Maps isn't there asking questions.
Do you still have a big A to Z somewhere in the car?
I'd love to be able to say yes, but no, I don't. And I used to love getting an A to Z. I would buy a new A to Z every year.
Wow, well, I was not quite that frequent. But again, from my childhood, whenever we were on those really long journeys and we were getting really bored, I just get the A to Z off my parents and just read that in the car. It was like the best learners, particularly when we got an international one. We're driving through France. Sacre bleu. Is that the right word?
Yeah, sacre bleu, which I think is sacred blue. Not much of a swear word, really, if you say it over here. What if you went into a service station on the motorway right now? Would you still be able to pick up a giant A3 sized A to Z?
You must be able to.
I don't reckon they'd cost what they used to.
Well, you reckon they'd be expensive now because there's fewer printed, or they'd be cheaper because no one gives a shit?
Cheaper because no one gives a shit. Because everyone's got it on their phone, so I reckon they're probably giving these things away.
Yeah, I don't know. I will look the next time I'm in Texaco.
And I'm going to buy one the next time I see one, because we've got to keep this going.
Yes. Between us, we can keep the A to Z business alive. Before we go to an ad break, Rich, I would like to give a review to this new function on Google Maps. So this is not an overall review of Google Maps. This is this like incessant buzzing request for information feature on Google Maps sat nav, and I give that 1 star. I'm really cross.
Let's let your anger subside by hearing some messages from our supporters. you chilled now?
Sort of calmed down. I mean, I did enjoy that ad break. It was one of the top 3 ad breaks I think I've ever heard on this show. Rich, we should move on to another subject, and I've missed you. So please do tell me a little bit more about what's going on in your life.
Chris, I've started watching a new show over the last week. It's not new to the rest of the world, but it's new to me. And I've started watching Yellowstone on Netflix. You familiar with this?
Yes, I mean, I've even seen, it's such a popular show. I see people in Yellowstone T-shirts, and not Yellowstone Park, actual Yellowstone, the TV show T-shirt. So I get the cultish nature and the fandom for it.
This isn't a review or a moan about Yellowstone, though, because obviously we were watching a new show. It's a new TV theme to become acquainted with. We watched the first episode, which was very long for a first episode. It was 90 minutes. And I think with the first episode of anything, you need to be able to sort of be hooked straight away. So it's quite an investment to have to watch 90 minutes and go, yeah, okay, cool. I'll give the second episode a go. So, give it a guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to give the episode to a guy.
Anyway, that second episode came round, and as we started watching it, on Netflix, it comes up with the thing saying skip intro. And Natalie goes, I can skip the intro. And I'm like, why? I don't like skipping intros. I quite like the theme music. I'm not skipping the intro. And we watched it. I think it's a decent theme music to Yellowstone. It might even become something I like even more as we get more episodes into it. But in the back of my mind, it lodged this whole sort of like, well, you can skip that. Because if Natalie's got the remote in her hand and we're watching something, binging through something, she will always skip the intro. And I'm starting to get concerned about this. The very fact that it's an option on Netflix and indeed on Disney Plus and on Apple TV to skip the intro. Chris, if this is the future, we are losing the art of the great TV theme, and it worries me.
This is such a big subject, Rich, and it's one I'm really passionate about, and I'm so pleased that you brought it up. I share a lot of the same concerns as you, but I do think there is some way it's become a popularity contest, and I think theme tunes will survive, but only if they're really, really great. We always watch the theme of the first episode of the first show we ever watch. And the best shows with the best theme music, we're still doing it by the end of the season. But the ones that are too long, the ones where the music just simply isn't good enough, skip. And so, for example, Succession, we were never skipping that. Game of Thrones, never skipping that. So Murderbot, although I liked the actual animation of it, skip the music. Couldn't be doing with it. So, and then some shows, like, I don't know if you've ever seen Snowfall, which is on Disney, they can't even be bothered to have the intro music. If you go skip intro, it just moves you forward like 3 seconds from the start of the text saying Snowfall to the end of the text. So it's a new game. It's a new world out there, Rich. How would you feel if you were asked to write a theme? With this knowledge, would you not make your theme tune super catchy and buzzy?
It's a really interesting one because I think, first of all, as a point, the theme tune sets up the TV show. It would be like getting rid of foreplay.
Interesting.
Well, no, foreplay is the setup to sex. Okay, if you got rid of that, then is the other framed correctly? Okay, so what the TV theme tune does is it sets the expectations of the viewer of what you're about to see. So I don't think you can ever get rid of it. I'd suggest that people that choose to skip it, they're not there for the full climax of their television feast.
Well, they want to get straight to the climax. They're not there for the glass of wine and a little wink and a hug. I assume that's what.
However, if you think about it, think about like some of the biggest TV shows certainly on Netflix of recent years. If you think about Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, they did have theme music, but it's like about 6 or 7 seconds long. So you weren't gaining anything by skipping it. And I feel like Vince Gilligan, a genius with those shows, but it's almost as if they just sort of like handed in the white flag and said, yeah, we quit. There's no point. Game of Thrones, I'm glad you mentioned that. I mean, what the composers of that, and I forget the gentleman's name, and he's a genius, and I'm gutted that I've forgotten it, because I know they've had sort of like orchestral concerts. You can go and see that played live. If I had to create a new TV show, I'd like to think I'd stay true to my beliefs, and I would still go with a good, epic, at least 60-second theme music.
It was Ramin Djawadi,
Yep.
Rich. And I tell you what worked about the theme. It wasn't just the music. With Game of Thrones, every single bit of the opening credits was a clue to what you were subsequently going to see. And more shows should do that.
Yeah.
Like they should get creative about it, because then you're like obliged to, because you're missing some of the content of the show. Maybe every week one of the cast should be forced to perform it karaoke style.
Yeah.
And you get a unique take on the theme tune every time.
I consider Game of Thrones audibly and visually to be the greatest TV theme tune of all time. And I'm glad that you mentioned it, because I agree. And it's actually on. I've got a little game for you. It's a game that's going to take 60 seconds because I'm going to time it. I've done some research and I've got what is considered to be collaboratively the greatest 10 TV theme tunes of all time. And I'm going to give you 60 seconds to see how many that you can guess correctly.
Is this a UK list or is this global TV?
Combined. So therefore global.
Okay, so so has the clock started yet?
It's going to start now.
EastEnders Coronation Street, I'm assuming not going to be in it because they're too UK based. Is that right?
Correct. You've wasted 7 seconds.
I don't care. Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Obviously is in there. The Wire, Way Down in the Hole.
No.
Has got to be in there.
No.
Seinfeld.
No.
Frasier.
No.
Friends.
No.
I'll Be There For You. I mean, it's a pretty bad song, to be honest. Sopranos.
No. 30 seconds gone.
What? Blue's Clues.
Great shout, but no.
Transformers.
20 seconds left. You've given up because you're suggesting silly things now.
The Raccoons. Surely it's got to be number one.
Raccoons doesn't make it.
Then I quit.
You quit with 6 seconds to go, and you only named the one that I'd already told you. These are the greatest 10 TV theme tunes.
How can Frasier not be in there?
Frasier's not in there.
How can Transformers not be in there?
These are the 10.
How can Raccoons not be in there?
Game of Thrones. Thunderbirds. Doctor Who.
Yeah, that's good. I like Doctor Who.
Inspector Morse.
Delia Derbyshire. Malt. Hang on. Malt. But EastEnders isn't.
Downton Abbey.
Crap.
Antiques Roadshow.
This is all... How can Antiques Roadshow be in there but EastEnders not?
Happy Days.
Fair.
Cheers.
Yeah.
The X-Files.
I agree with that as well. Doctor Who, X-Files, I'm all on board with those.
And the final one, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Which is also good. Look, 3 of those I have all the time for. The others, I don't know who compiled this. Like,
I did.
Oh, you compiled it yourself? I was very nearly very critical of whoever compiled that list.
I found 2 top 10s. I found a world one and I found a UK one. And then I combined them together with what I thought were the best 5 of each. You look really angry.
We're running out of time. This episode is running long, and I just do not want to dwell on this anymore, but I feel we're going to come back to it at some point.
I give the concept of skipping intros 1 star.
I don't have a problem with that. That's a good review.
Chris, what else is on your mind this week? I'm sorry to have made you angry.
It's one of those weeks. Apparently, concussion will do it to a man. I was on holiday, as you know, and the kids, oh my God, they were chewing back cereal, were self-catering. And I had to go to the local store and pick up another box of cereal for the kids. And it turned out the range was small, but one thing they did have, and the kids were so excited about this, was the selection box. And so the full and I picked it up straight away without a second thought. I thought that's just enough. 8 boxes of mini cereal that will get us through to the end of the holiday with the 2 girls just fine.
What comes in the 8 variety packs these days?
I'm very pleased that you asked, Richie, because this for me was quite controversial. You'd expect, okay, let's talk through traditionally what we'd have expected in there. The boring one. You'd get cornflakes and Rice Krispies, the 2 boring ones.
They're the 2 givens. I would expect Frosties and Cocoa Pops to be in there.
Crunchy Nut cornflakes.
That's 5.
Maybe. I think sometimes All Bran was in there.
No, never in
All Bran.
No, All Bran never in that.
Okay, I think it might have once been. Genuinely, I think you might have. I think
historically, Ricicles was in there. Is that still a thing?
Ricicles, yes. Honey Smacks, I think, was also in there occasionally. Yeah. So you've spoken about quite a wide range of Kellogg's brands, yeah. Now, I've got the photo of it here. There were 2 cornflakes.
2 cornflakes?
2 cornflakes. 1 Rice Krispies.
Right.
Then 2 more Rice Krispies, but Rice Krispies multigrain shapes. And 3 Cocoa Pops.
Are you kidding me? This says to me that they're trying to push loss leaders.
It's pretty awful, isn't it?
I can't believe that.
Like, that's not a selection.
No.
That's an order.
Yeah.
And the kids will, don't get me wrong, the kids are really happy because they still get the tiny little boxes of cereal. And they would often negotiate where one would have half of one and half of the other so they could mix and match their cereal, which they were very excited to do. But I was like, I found it hard not to lean into it and go, in my day, this was much better.
So there wasn't even a Frosties?
Not even a Frosties. Not a Crunchy Nut cornflakes. Not a Ricicles.
Did you say there were Cocoa Pops?
There were 3 Cocoa Pops.
Okay. So Cocoa Pops, that was what there was the most of, really?
Yeah, 3 Cocoa Pops, 2 cornflakes, 2 of these Rice Krispies, what is it called? Rice Krispies multi-grain shapes, and 1 standard Rice Krispies.
I'm genuinely stunned at that.
It's not good enough.
No. Wow, I feel for the kids. I'm glad they were on holiday. No one deserves misery on holiday. So I'm glad the girls were happy with what they got. But I'm equally disappointed that they didn't get what they could have got and should have got.
At this point, I agree. At this point, I do feel that I need to point out that despite me shouting at Google Maps for much of the journey, and despite my enormous disappointment at the selection boxes, I did have a really nice holiday. I just feel I need to get that in right now. Some of which I will talk about in the Patreon episode with Glee. I've got some Lulworth Cove, Cornish swimmers. They all make it over there. But this selection boxes just not good enough. You should have. It's an 8-pack. You should have 8 cereals. So you don't. You have 5 cereals and 1 star.
I echo that, even though I haven't bought a pack for ages. That's depressed me. I think we need to take another break.
Right, now are you feeling okay post-break, Rich?
Yes, I am. And it's a good job because there's something else on my mind that I'm not angry about, but I am very confused about and I need to get settled with.
Well, here is the show for you. 2 confused old men having a moan.
Bins. Chris.
Oh, God.
Where you live in Hackney,
yeah.
I don't know whether this is just a Hertfordshire thing or whether this is across the UK right now, but are you finding that the world of bins is being turned upside down right now?
What? So the bin men are coming along and throwing waste out of the bin truck into the streets?
No, that would be horrendous.
Okay.
We
Please tell me more, because I'm confused.
We are about to go through a seismic change in rubbish collection in Hertfordshire, and it starts next week. But Chris, let me tell you about what the result of that is. Outside my house next week is going to be 5 bins, 5 different wheelie bins and 2 caddies. So that's 7 different receptacles for the outside of my one house.
That, like, I actually am all up for the separation of rubbish. I think it's great to separate food waste, garden waste, and non-recyclables. 7 feels like too many. Can you explain what the role of each of these 7 is?
Well, there begins the challenge. I hope I can, and I will try. I need to tell you right now that before the system change, there were 3 bins outside the house. Recyclable and garden waste, and that got collected fortnightly. And then on the other fortnight was just landfill. And I would have reminders set on my phone on a Sunday night to put the bins out ready for their Monday collection. So I operated a good system. Now, going forward, we're moving from Monday collection to a Thursday collection, but the garden waste is still going to be collected on a Monday. No idea why that's going to be. And garden waste is still going to be fortnightly, but everything else, the other 6 bins are going to be collected every 3 weeks. So what is going to be outside? So let's deal with the caddies first of all. There's going to be one bigger caddy, which is for food waste, and that's going to be collected weekly. So food waste goes weekly, and that's in a bigger caddy. But then there's a smaller caddy that is meant to live somewhere within the kitchen. I've absolutely no idea where. We've been given something that has to now have a place in the kitchen. So that is to transfer the kitchen waste to the outside caddy. Okay, so that's going to live inside. The other one remains outside. Then what is currently our landfill bin is going to become the cardboard and paper bin. And that is going to be collected 3 weekly. The current blue-lidded recycling bin that is for everything is going to become mixed recycling, so your glass and your plastics and all that kind of stuff, and that's going to be collected,
but not your cardboard,
3 weekly. No, because cardboard's going to be what was in the current refuse bin. And then we've been delivered 2 new purple-lidded refuse bins, but they're smaller than the previous bins, which is why we've been delivered 2, because it's a 4-bedroom house. So apparently, because we're a 4-bedroom house, we're going to need 2 refuse bins, which is for the landfill stuff. But those 2 bins are going to be collected every 3 weeks. So I hope I've explained that correctly. But I guess the overall point is, what a clusterfuck.
It does sound messy.
Yeah. And I should just say, like yourself, I'm fully on board with recycling and everything that we need to do. I'm a believer in that. But to have 7 wheeled bins outside the house seems crazy.
I mean, immediately the problem could be solved by you only having 1 refuse bin, and the fact that you've got all those other bins where all the other stuff that might have once gone in the refuse now goes in there means you shouldn't need the 2 bins for that. So immediately you solve that problem. You're down to 6 bins, which is great. The caddy situation, I don't have a lot of sympathy for you. We've had that caddy situation for a long time. It goes in a little cupboard under the sink, and it's absolutely fine. Every time it fills out, we transfer it out to the front. It works very well. You'll adapt to it. You'll find a place in your kitchen, and that's fine. what I don't like about, like, I actually am really happy to have all the different bins, but when you go up a road, particularly in East London, where the pavements are tiny, there's just bins everywhere. It's a total mess. Now you try pushing a buggy or walking the dog around all that, it's an absolute nightmare.
Or a wheelchair.
But it's better than just putting it all in one. I'm conflicted, Rich. I'm genuinely conflicted. I feel there is a fix to your situation, which is one, get over the caddy situation, and two, get rid of that other refuse bin. I think that will help you come to terms with things. And worst comes to worst, just start throwing everything in your neighbour's bin.
I like you, am also conflicted, and the outside of the house thing is also the other thing that I find strange about it. You are obviously going to have streets where having all of those outside is going to be a nightmare to try and move by. I kind of think if you were an alien that came down to the UK and you looked outside all the houses now and you see all of these houses, they're going to have about 7 bins lined up outside. They're going to think we worship these things. They're not going to know what they are. Google Street View, if you look on it in a couple of years' time, and you know how you can look back on Street View now, various different moments in history, you're going to see suddenly a change to like where houses had all of these bins outside. And they think, who are these bin overlords that these people are now worshipping? Yeah. It's really strange.
Although, like, not that I'm trying to judge this situation at all, but if there had been Google Street View for 300 years ago, it would have repeatedly captured people throwing buckets of shit out of the window. So we have improved.
And that is where, rewind half an hour, and we were talking about history earlier on. This is why history exists, so that we can look back and go, actually, okay, yeah, that was right. You know, back in the time when we were chucking shit out of the window and people were saying, hey, why don't you have that receptacle outside? And they were like, but that's going to ruin the look of my thatched cottage. Okay, that's why history exists. We're living longer because we don't throw shit.
Well, I feel like, subject to your review, I think we've wrapped this episode beautifully.
We have indeed. But maybe it's not wrapped for the listener. Maybe they've got comments. Well, we've got a solution for that. You can email us, mildlyinformedpod@gmail.com. You can leave comments in the comments section, whether it's on YouTube, where you can watch a visualised episode of this, or indeed on our socials at Producer Chris or at Richie Firth.
So what is your review then, Rich?
For bins?
Yeah.
3 stars. Try a bit harder. We're going to jump across to Patreon right now and give them some extra goodness, because I'm sure you've got more to review. But otherwise, we'll be back next week.